Hey! First, want to start off with a little bit of smudgy smudge, a little bit of sagey sage, because it's 8 o'clock and I said that for an hour every day this week I was going to light this healing candle that we started with that candle working on Saturday. So I want to keep with that and I want to hold this space, but because we are holding space with this, we want to make sure that we're cleansing the area. So, start in the east, where all good things come. Bring in all that good new energy, that good new air. Make sure we clear out all of this virus, all of the bad energy, and bring in the freshness, breath of life, because we all need that breath of life. Asking all the guardians in the watchtowers of the south with the power of fire to burn off all of this virus. Let everything go away that no longer serves us. Burn it down. You've got the guardians in the watchtowers of the west, the place of our ancestors, who can give us guidance because they've been through similar situations. The ancestors can come in and guide us and help us and be there for us as a comfort. To the guardians in the watchtowers of the north, the power of earth to ground us, to keep us from getting all panicky. To those who are above, all of our spirit guides, all of our helpers, please continue to watch over us and help us and guide us. To everyone below, where our spirit animals are, let them smile upon us, let them help guide us, let them lend their knowledge and always be with us. And to the spirit of the within, calling in the 7 directions. All right, so let's light this candle up. Hey! Hi, Lily. So our candle's doing really well. I burned it for, of course, an hour on Saturday. I burned it during Leanne's Astrocast yesterday. And then tonight's night number 3. So far we're doing pretty good. I added a little bit of herbage in here. I put some thyme in here because we're getting a little bit low. So without burning myself, light it up, baby. And we're going to have this going while we do our talk tonight about rose quartz. So I'm trying to find a place to put this where I don't have to say, because I have cats, we don't have candles. I have candles everywhere, I just don't ever light them. We're going to put him next to Big Chief. If y'all haven't met Big Chief yet, this is Big Chief. Big Chief, watch over that for us. Let's get this smudge going again. That way it cleanses us from any negativity that's coming our way. Maybe can help my rose quartz here because, you know, I touched it and now it's not so rosy. I kind of have this really bad habit with rose quartz where I can bleach them just by being around them a little too much. They're all pretty and pink and rosy, and next thing you see, it's like, oh, is that a white agate? No, darling, that's not a white agate. That was a rose quartz. I just touched it. All right, so smudgy smudge is going. So let's talk about this. This is my 25-pound rose quartz baby. Grace and I got this at the Michigan Rock and Gem show about, was that what, 3 years ago or 4 years ago? Or 5 years ago? About 5 years ago. We were walking up, had like $25 left in our pocket, and I'm like, oh, but I want this. And he's like, how much do you have? $25. He's like, well, you can have it. I'm like, dude, going home. So we carried it around like a little baby, and I held it like this. I'm like, oh, you love it like a baby. And I'm like, it's heavy, okay? So that's our rose quartz baby. I try not to touch it as much as possible. I try to stay away from it. Rose quartz works on a lot of different levels, and it works with that heart chakra. So you have like the high heart, you have the mid heart, and you have that whole heart chakra level. If you are grieving, or if you've been through a lot of trauma, you can definitely bleach a rose quartz. I didn't realize what was happening with the rose quartz till another friend told me about it, because when her son had died, she was wearing this rose quartz that someone had given her for comfort, and they watched it like throughout the funeral, but it was this bright, big pink color. And then next thing you know, it starts getting lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter, but she starts feeling a little bit better. So I know that if I let myself love on this a little bit, it probably would help. but at the same time, I don't want to harm a stone. During fairs and festivals, you'll see our tent, and our tent has all these like little rose quartz hearts, and they're beautiful, but I would love to put some stuff on them, but I can't because they're all bleached white, and everyone looks at them, they're like, oh, that's so pretty. Is it white agate? No, it's a rose quartz. It was a rose quartz. We've tried cleaning them. We tried doing whatever we can. It just does not happen. So, but this was actually a lot darker when we got it. It does stay in my daughter's cabinet in her room, kind of locked up, so I stay away from it. I hadn't really wanted to talk about rose quartz because I know that I have to touch this a lot, and by touching this a lot, I end up harming it. Yeah. So let's talk about what this is. Hey guys! So anyway, who's just joined us, hey to Leanne again. Hi Deanna. Hi Brittany. Hi Kenya. So rose quartz. This is comprised of silica, and the chemical is SiO2, so it's silicon dioxide, and a lot of the particles on the earth are made from silica dioxide. So what this is it's the second most common mineral in like the earth's crust. And just a refresher on minerals, what a mineral is. Most crystals actually are minerals. There's a few of them that aren't. We'll talk about those a little bit later. But a mineral is any substance that is like inorganic, and it's a naturally occurring thing. Most crystals, like I said, are minerals because they have crystalline structures. So when they're forming, some liquid gets in there, that liquid turns into a solid, and that becomes the crystal. So most of what we all call our stones are crystals because of that makeup. And if you can dig it up with a pickaxe or get through it to the ground, it probably is a crystal. And like I said, crystals become the crystals because of those liquid beginnings that solidify. It's like a chemical reaction. It just naturally occurs. So since we talked about this is found in the Earth's crust, a lot of us are sitting there going, okay, for how many levels are there of the Earth? All right, so the Earth has 4 levels. So we have the outermost layer, which we learned is the crust. The next most layer that is in there is the mantle. Then we have the outer core and then the inner core. If you think of like a jawbreaker, so the earth is kind of like a jawbreaker. So like the outer layers are kind of hard and they get softer in the beginning, and as you get closer to the middle, and the best part of the jawbreaker is that little itty bitty part that kind of has the best flavoring to it because it kind of tastes like a sweet tart. Everything else just kind of sucks on the outside. The only problem with the earth is that we don't want to get closer to that because then we're kind of like, oh, bye people. So we try to stay away from that. A little bit of a science lesson tonight. Who would have thought? Now back to rose quartz. This is a 7 on the Mohs scale. Now what's the Mohs scale? So it's not MOE, it's not MO, it's MOHS. And it's a hardness scale. Get your head out of the gutter. And it's of minerals. So diamond is a 10 and talcum powder is a number 1. Your fingernail would be like a 2.5 and a penny would be a 3.5. It's kind of crazy if you think about it that your penny and a fingernail are really close in like level of hardness. But then if you think like some people's toenails, a toenail is actually going to also be about a 3. So I mean that degree of thickness, it's kind of crazy. It's like your big toe would be about like a 3 and your fingernail would be like a 2.5. So that's kind of wild, It is. I mean, it really is kind of wild. Got a different camera I'm working with tonight, so this is kind of adjusting this thing. So the Mohs scale has been around for about 200 years. And hardness in the crystal world, when they're talking about like the hardness in the Mohs scale, hardness is actually its ability to resist scratching. So a lot of substances you can sit there and run a fingernail through and you're going to end up having this horrible gouge in it. With a rose quartz, it's going to take a lot to scratch it. But that doesn't mean it's indestructible, because we can definitely tell it's not. I mean, if I were to drop this on the ground, I would probably cry my eyes out right now. Science, everybody. And it's all Googleable. If you want to Google any of this, you can Google the Mohs scale, you can Google rose quartz, you can Google what rose quartz is made of, which is what I was doing. Now, back to rose quartz for real. Why is it pink? Even though this is not very pink. I need to stop touching this. I really do, because the more I touch it, I need to just put this back in my daughter's cabinet. So it's pink because of the way it kind of cooks inside the rocks. And if it cooked in a different way, it would be like smoky quartz. But what happens is there's a stuff and it's called pegmatites. So I know we have like stalactites and stalagmites, but there's also pegmatites, which I never even knew that existed, so I had to Google that, and that was actually pretty cool. So in the pegmatites, there's things like iron ore, there's titanium, there's manganese, and they combine in these different combinations, and the more richer of the combination, the deeper the pink you're going to get, or the lighter of the pink, depending on like where they've cut it and like the direction. So of course, you know, the closer you get to like the rocky part, you're going to get really light, like the rind of a watermelon. And then the more in you get, you're going to end up getting the more deeper. And that's the kind of stuff that you want to get, is you want to get that really deep, deep, rich rose quartz. Not that the color really does anything for the healing properties, but when you're looking at it, it's like longer, the longevity you're going to have of the stone itself. So pegmatite, like we were talking about, it's a form of granite, and it has that, you know, crystalline core, which is this. So if we were looking at this inside a rock, the rock would be here on the outside of the rock, and then this would be on going towards the middle. So I mean, everything is in relation to the geode. So when you crush it, you know, or crack it open, you end up having the different colors. There are some like cracks or striations in here. If you see that one right there, and just see the different formations. Everyone shares that picture of that rose quartz bathtub. Oh, I am seeing a little bit of pink in this. Ooh, maybe if I can get this in the right light. The lighting in here is terrible, guys. I'm sorry. I wonder if I can get my battery just enough on my phone. Drained my freaking phone battery. Let's see if you guys can see that a little bit better. There we go. Look at that pink still. Look, little glowworm. It's like a little glowworm. Oh, look at that. So, it doesn't take much to entertain me. Quarantine, y'all. This is what it'll do to people. And as you see, I don't give a hootenanny right now about the way I look. I think we all kind of look the same, so it doesn't really matter, does it? All the grays coming out, tinsel in the hair. Everybody got their natural color showing. It's like, yeah, whatever. Just the way it goes, y'all. So, let's talk a little bit more about this rose quartz here. So, rose quartz is the stone of love and beauty. And it goes on all the different levels of love. So that, you know, that friend love, that agape, that, you know, that family love, you have that romantic love, you have the platonic love. It works on all of those different levels. And rose quartz was actually put in death masks. So they would put it in like the death mask, and then we put the people in the tombs, whether it be like Egyptian or Roman. Both of them, you can find death masks that have rose quartz in them. They thought that when they put the death masks on people, that it would make them stay like youthful and not decay away for as long. And then when they realized that that actually did seem to help, and it wasn't, you know, the rose quartz that kept people from like decaying, it was the way that they had wrapped them up, and also the lack of air getting to things. But, you know, if they say rose quartz, we'll go with rose quartz because that works too. Now, the name, this is where it gets really weird. Rose quartz is actually, they named it from a Germanic, like Saxon kind of name called Quirk Luft Erz. You put it really close together, you kind of sound like Swedish chefs. So we're not going to do that. Because once I start Swedish chef, I can't stop Swedish chef. It is a really great stone for people that are Taurus. My Lily and Lisa, who just joined us. Taurus and Libra. All right, this stone is actually works best on you because of your heart-centered philosophies that you go through. The living, once they saw that the results started working really well for people that were like not alive anymore, the living started using it and putting in their water and doing like rose quartz facial washes and rose quartz baths, that it was adding something to the water that actually helped retain a youthful glow. They knew not to drink it though, which is one thing that I don't recommend, is please don't drink water with rose quartz. You have the titanium in there, you have the manganese, you have other things in there that are leaching into the water that you probably shouldn't drink. Please don't drink water with crystals in it. There's so many different crystals out there, and there's so much that you don't realize that they retain and that they pull out once they get, you know, water in them. Don't drink water with crystals. You'll get sick from worse things than coronavirus. It's a horrible, horrible, just eating away of your digestive system. That would just be awful. Don't do it. All right, so if you are someone that has self-esteem issues, rose quartz is a really good stone to keep around because it helps you to remember to love yourself. It helps boost that self-love vibe and that confidence. And it always reminds you to seek out the beauty within, seek out the good within, remind you of all the good things that you are. Wearing it can actually help attract love. It can help you find unconditional love. Wow, that was loud when it slapped against my hand. We're not going to do that anymore. That's heavy. It also helps you find peace. And it has these well-being connections to love and emotional balance, which we all can use. Maybe that's why it is good for Libra, is because of that emotional balance thing. I'm still geeking out over how pink it still is on the inside. I want to do that again. I'm a geek. Look at that. Look at all those colors. Like, seriously, it just needs to be on a light so it can be a little glowworm. I love it. So, like I said in the beginning, it is probably not the greatest stone to have around, though, when you're grieving. Because what it does is it feels that pain that's around your heart, and what it tries to do is like, I fix. No, I don't want you to fix it, because I need to feel this, and I need so I can get through this. And this stone just works so hard to heal that, where it just kind of, it pulls it off of you. It's very empathic, so it's pulling it off of you and taking it in with itself. And when it's doing that, it's what pulls the color out of it. So it's almost like, you know, when you get really upset or you get sick and you get really pale, that's what happens with the rose quartz, because it's like, damn, that was a mess. That was a big mess. So that's why I try to stay away from it. It's one of those where the last stone that I wanted to talk about was rose quartz, just because I hate what this does. It's really tries to help. It tries its best to help, but it also, I feel terrible because it's like you're hurting something for the betterment of you, and I don't like doing that. So, like I said, it's not the worst thing to have when you're grieving, but it just kind of, when you're already upset, it makes you feel really bad because something else has gotten hurt because of you. Hey, Alexa. So, yeah, it really is a beautiful stone, though. And this really was one of my favorite things that we picked up at that show. I missed the Rock and Gem show, which is kind of why I wanted to bring the whole Monday's Rock back, so we can go through some of the ones that we've gotten at the gem shows and remember when we think about when we can gather again and do the fun stuff out in public with people. All right, so how do you cleanse this guy? There's a couple of really, really good ways. You can actually just rinse them off with water. I wouldn't recommend a salt bath because with this being silica, and the salt would react kind of strange and it's going to start eating away because salt is so corrosive. With it being silica, if you think about like the silica that you put in your shoes, you know, or like putting like stuff to take like the moisture out, that's what this is. So it's kind of like that, you know, push-pull reaction. So really don't do a salt bath with rose quartz, but you can set it out in the moonlight. And if it happens to rain that night, bonus! Because it's not like my selenite that disintegrated in the rain. It was actually a really bad snowstorm. But, you know, the rain's not going to hurt this. It can stay out in the moonlight. It can get a nice little moon bath with the rain and with the moon. And that's going to be like extra special charge. And it will clear out all of the stuff that it's taken from you. Especially, you know, all the stuff that it's tried to heal from you, because it is one of those like energetic healers. And when I say energetic, it's like that, you know, Cocker Spaniel doesn't really have the energy of, say, a Jack Russell Terrier, but if you think about it in the dog world, this has the energy of like a Cocker Spaniel, where it's like, love me, love me, love me, love me, love me, love me, love me. That's kind of the energy of what I would think a rose quartz would do. Now, back in the day, like 1300s, 1500s, that area, they actually used to use this as a 5-year anniversary gift. So after you'd been betrothed and married off to someone for 5 years. If you made it 5 years, if plague didn't get you, then they'd end up giving you like, rose quartz kind of jewelry. So this has been around and been used for a long, long time. One of the more interesting stories to come out from rose quartz, that when Adonis and Ares got into a fight and Ares did the final blow to Adonis, as soon as Aphrodite heard that he was laying there bleeding, she went running and she cut herself on like a briar bush. And as he's laying there like bleeding everywhere, she's laying there bleeding everywhere, their blood intermingled, and what hit the ground turned into rose quartz, and what hit like stone, what turned into rose quartz, what hit the ground turned into the anemone flower. So there's kind of lore with both of those put together. But that's all I've got for this tonight. I am going to keep the candle going. You can see it's a happy little candle going here. And like I said, I would keep this going for an hour a night for the next, well, now we have 5 more days that we're going to keep this going. I've just been doing the singing bowl with it. I have a couple of like meditation tracks that go with it, bringing in all that healing. I thought that rose quartz would work really well with this tonight too, just because there's so much healing it can send out and remind us to be more loving and compassionate to each other. This is also, it's not the stone of compassion, but it is a stone of love and reminds us to find the love in everything that we do. So I thought I'd, up the ante of the candle tonight, talk to you guys about the rose quartz, and wish you guys all well, and hope that everyone is staying happy and healthy and safe, because we want to make sure that when all this is over we can hang out, because I need like coffee and tea, or not really coffee. Ooh, that Earl Grey that they have over at Big B. Oh, that was good. That was so good. I miss you guys. Miss you guys bunches. And like I said, just stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside. If you have to go out, just make sure you're taking all the necessary precautions and doing what you need to do to stay safe, because like I said, I miss the hell out of all of you. And when this is over, we need to have like massive amounts of tea party and parks and fun, and man, I can't wait for Call of the Goddess. I'm really, really crossing my fingers for Call of the Goddess to still happen this August, because it's like towards the end of August. And astrologically speaking, the way they talked about this virus, that Vedic astrology that comes out like the Hindu astrology, they're basically saying that the majority of this should be done by then. So, I follow a lot of the Hindu stuff, so I'm like, Shiva, please, please, Shiva, please. So, that's enough of me rambling. Have a great night, guys. Thanks for joining me.